Good day, my people. Welcome to Bloggers Insight. The basic thing we're going to learn today is what is conditional statement and modulus. It's a beautiful topic, and I want you to basically get ready, get your system ready, and we're going to venture into it. Remember, any question, anything you don't understand, go to the description below. You're going to see a Telegram. Hit on the Telegram link. It's going to take you to my Telegram community. Just go there, ask your question. Like I said, I'll be diligent to answer your question. So today's topic is conditional statement and modulus explained in the simplest form, day 5. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to my computer. There's a new way I want us to open our file today. So you're going to come to this where you find your all apps, click on it. You're going to see a file known as Anaconda, this particular one. Click on the folder, there's a drop down here, click on it, it's going to open up this particular place. So instead of us going through Anaconda Navigator, you're going to click on this, your Jupyter notebook. As soon as you click on your Jupyter notebook, it's going to open up Jupyter notebook. So a terminal like this is going to open up. You're going to relax and don't rush the process. It's going to like load some things on the terminal so that you can open up the KNI and everything will run smoothly. Okay, so I'm going to skip this video a little bit. Okay, so something like this is going to run. Don't find it scary. It's normal. This is what it's going to do. This is the KNI getting up, running at the back end. So you're just going to leave this one alone. Just leave it alone. Okay. So some people are going to see something like this. So it's for those people that's going to be coming across this particular one. This is just the KNI where your codes will be running. You understand? It needs a terminal that will be running through. Okay. So I'm going to just, minimize this. Then you're going to find yourself here. Remember the last class we treated before. Yeah. You're going to come here, click on new. When you click on new, you click on Python 3. It's going to open up a new tab. So remember, it's tab by tab. This is your document area, and this is the new tab your document is going to be open at. So it's going to open up this Jupyter notebook for us. So you know how we used to rename our particular thing. You make sure you click on the untitled there. Then you remove this, and you can say day 5. Right? Click on day 5. You click rename. So you can basically come to this file, click on the file, and you can click on rename. When you click on rename, it opens up this particular place as well. Okay, so we're in this our beautiful environment that I think I've introduced it before on how to use Jupyter notebook. If you've not watched it, go to my previous video on day 4 and watch it on the setup of Jupyter notebook and everything, how I explain the Jupyter notebook environment. So I'm going to start with modules, then before I go into conditional statements. Okay, so the first thing is, what are modules? A module is a file that contains code such as functions, variables, or classes. So these functions and variables or classes, I've not taught you guys functions, I've not taught you guys classes, but variables, you already know what variables are. Your module can contain variables, functions, and classes. Okay, so functions and classes are things I'm going to still talk about in our upcoming classes that you can reuse in other programs. It helps to organize code and avoid repetition. You can import and use a module in your script. For example, a math is a module that contains mathematical function. So that is a simple definition of a module. Okay, so a module is just a file where you store Python script inside of them to make your code easier and faster. Do you understand? So let's say instead of you writing a whole bunch of code, you can basically just write that code somewhere and save it in a module that you can later refer to and use it. So let's say I say, what is 78 times 2? Instead of you writing a mathematical function and doing that, there's a module that you can write all mathematical functions that can basically just help you calculate that particular thing easy and fast. Okay, so I'm going to basically use just only 3 modules, and I'm going to show you how module work and how it's being implemented. The particular thing is what? Module. We have the module. And like I said, the module is a file, right? So we're going to turn this one to Markdown straight up. It's in the Markdown form. So now let's go ahead and now implement a module. So the first thing I'm going to do is to import math. So if you click on import math, math is an implicit module inside of the computer. That means the computer already recognizes this module. It's already something that comes with Python packages. Do you understand? There are some that you have to go externally and download them or install them. So this one is something that comes with Python. Do you understand? You don't have to stress yourself with this particular type of module. So math is the first one we're going to talk about, and we're going to import it to our environment, and we're going to try to use it. So we're going to import math, and after importing math, I will say print the directory of what? of maths. So the directory of maths is just going to basically open up everything that is inside of this particular file. Remember, I say module is a file, right, that contains different variables, functions, or classes inside of them. So it's going to open up the different type of file that we have inside of this module. So if you click on this print directory, this directory is what is going to open up everything that is inside of this module known as maths. So import is just like you bringing it inside of your environment. So you have to make sure you write that import inside. Okay, so import maths, then directory is what comes after. So directory will bring out everything that is inside of the maths module. So if I run that, you can see our particular math is brought inside of our environment. So we can see different type of file. So things like mathematical functions, things like sum, things like cos, log, all these things are the things that we can find here. Okay, one important thing of a module, it avoids the repetition of codes. Do you understand? Instead of you repeating codes, you just bring a module that will just basically help you to calculate it. Do you understand? It makes things easier for a programmer. I'm going to basically use this math now. Let's implement it right now. So please pay attention. In day 5, you're stepping up. Kudos to those that are following it from the day 1 to the day 5. Kudos to you. You're the one that is doing the great work. So I'm going to say with num1. Num1 is one of my favorite variable, right? So num1, I'm going to start with num1, and I'm saying num1 should contain 200. I want to perform a lot of mathematical function in this 200. So now let's say I want to look for the square root. I want to look for the cosine. I want to look for the tan theta. I also want to look for, let's say this our 200 is 0.0, right? So let's say I also want to look for the floor division of this particular thing. So what can I do in this particular situation? There are many things you can do, but instead of me writing a lot of codes for cosine, I can basically call one of the file that is cosine here. I can see cos, this is short form for cosine. Then I can see tan, where is tan? Okay, I can see tan, okay. You can see tan here. You can see sine, which is sine theta, right? So I can basically use each of this particular file that is being stored inside of this particular module, which is maths. Okay, I can come here now. I want to perform something to this particular num1. All I just have to do is say print. The first one I will say print maths dot, let's say floor, right? So floor will just basically round things to a whole number. That means to a single number that it can be used for. Do you understand? So when I say math.floor, it's going to bring out the math file and it's going to add it. Do you understand? So if I say math.floor and I say floor, it's going to bring it out. So if I say math.floor and I open up this particular one and I say num1, can you see this? I bring in the variable, which is num1, to the math.floor. So now if I run this now, watch what happened. Remember, our num1 is a float, right? So if I run this, you're going to see now we have what? 200. So what floor does, it doesn't round it up, it just only brings out the integer number. They understand, the whole number. So it doesn't just round it up, it just what brings out the number. So if this particular one was 200.9 and you run it, it's still going to give you 200. It doesn't round it up, instead it just brings out the only whole number, which is 200. So I don't want you to get it confused, because people get it confused here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do some other stuff. I can also say print. As I say print math dot sine, then in the sine I will call what? My num1. So if I run this, you can see it gives me what? The sine theta for 200.9. So if I come here, I can also say look for the print as well, math dot tan. And if I put tan, I can say what? Num1. So if I put num1, I run it, it's the same thing as well. Can you see that? But you can see they're almost the same thing, but you can see this one is at least 3. Then what other thing can I use my math to do apart from using all this logical table? I can also use it to look for the square roots. So I can say math dot sqrt. Sqrt is the short form for square root in Python. You can see sqrt. So if I say num1 and I run this particular thing, you can say the square root for 200.9 is what? 14.17. So it's as easy as that. So instead of me writing a lot of mathematical stuff for this, or start cracking my brain or start solving maths, I have a math module that can help me to solve that situation. What other module do we have? We have what is known as what? Statistics. So I can also bring what? Import statistics has ST80, right? ST80 is just a short form. Wherever you see has inside of your file or inside of your codes, just know that that has is to rename that particular module. Do you understand? To give it a short form. Okay, so let's say your name is John Doe and I say JD. Okay, JD is a short form of what? John Doe. So statistics is just us renaming it to a short form, which is what? Stat. So now the next thing I want to do, I want to see other things that are inside of this file. Who have an idea of what I'm going to do? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer that question. So if you got it right, put it in the comment below. So now I will basically just say what? Print directory, right? Inside directory, I'm not going to put statistic, but I'm going to call what? Stats, like this. So if I run this, you can see we have all the file that inside of what? Statistics. Let's see the things that we can do with our statistics. Am I right? So let's create num2, and num2 statistics are just basically a module that helps with statistical functions. So where we're going to be giving this particular statistics, it's things like lists, things that contains one or more values inside of it. Okay, so I'm going to create a list, and a list is going to contain 90, 100, 150, 200, 300, let's say 90.5, let's say 100.8, right? So we have all these values, which are all integers and floats. We save them inside of a list. If you don't know what lists are, also go to my previous video that I've created. I explained the iterable object as well. Watch that video through. You'll be able to understand what we're doing here as well. Okay, so we have all this particular thing inside of a list. So what is the next thing I'm going to do now? I'm not going to perform or use some of those files that statistics provide. You can see we have different type, log, mean, so on and so forth, right? It's different from math, right? Math is just mathematical things that you can see there, but statistics is mostly statistical kind of files that you're going to see there. Okay, so now I'm going to also perform something right here. Print stats, stats dots. I'm going to call one of them. So I want to use mean. So mean, I want you to look for the mean of what? Num2. So if I say look for the mean of num2, also, I want you to also look for the median of what? Num2. So I'm basically calling all the files that I have inside here. Okay, so if you look very closely, you're going to find them. So I want you to also look for the standard deviation. So I'll say stat, STDEV, then num what? Num2 as well. So let's say we also want to look for one more, which is the mode, right? Let's say we say start.mode as well, and we'll say num2. So if I come here and I run this, you can see it gives me everything that I need. But as far as it knows that this particular thing contains one or more values, you can see it looks for the mean, which is num2. It looks for the median, it looks for the standard deviation, it looks for the mode. Can you see that? That is how statistics work. Okay, so if you have any question, don't forget to go to the link below. So the next module, which is the last one, which is going to be random, right? So I'm going to use random. So I'll say import random. So make sure it's lowercase. So if I print what? Print directory, and in the directory I'm going to say what? Random. So you can also shorten this particular module if you want. If you want to shorten, you can just say has something, whatever you want to put there. Okay, so I'll say print what? Directory, which is random. And if I bring in the random, I call in the random, you can see every file that we have in the random is going to play out. It's as simple as that, right? So what is random? Random by its name stands for itself, right? Random is just something random. Do you understand? Let's say you want your computer to do a guessing thing for you, right? Which we're going to later do. We're going to do a lot of project that you're going to love. So if you've not subscribed, I don't know what to tell you, because there's a lot of fun things that's going to be coming out in this channel that you wish that, oh wow, you think that people will basically pay for, and I'm basically giving it free of charge. Why? It's because that's who I am. I'm not going to charge you for anything. Yeah, it's only if you don't basically understand it on your own, then you can decide to say, oh, I want to learn one-on-one, which is some extra charges that's going to be added. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be straight with you. I'm going to tell you the way it is, right? So what are the things that we can use in random? Like I said, it's just random thing, just like your computer trying to guess. You understand? I'm going to say num5 and equals to, I have all these things in the file. So I'm going to play a game with you right now. So whatever the computer chooses between like, subscribe, share, and comment, whatever the computer chooses. So if it says you should subscribe, you have to subscribe. If it says you should share, you have to share. If it says you should comment, you have to comment. If it says you should like, you have to what? Like. Okay. So if it says you should subscribe, I know you already subscribed already. So subscribe is something you've already done. But if it doesn't say that, if you say like, you have to like. If it says share, you have to share. Are we in? Right? Okay, let's go. So I'm going to basically come here and I will say print. In the print, I'm going to come here Watch, I'm going to say random dot choice, and in the choice I'm going to open a parenthesis there, and I'm going to put what, my variable, which is num5. So if I run this, it's going to bring out the particular string or particular word by itself. So I'm not the one telling you this word. So whatever it tells you to do, you have to do it. So I'm going to run it. Boom. It says what? Subscribe. So most of you have not subscribed. You better subscribe, right? It's not me that basically did it. It's the computer that chose this particular answer. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Okay. So you can see what the random did. We gave it a string like, subscribe, share, comment. So your assignment, what I want you to do is to put in different type of integer float inside of a string, and keep playing with it. Right now, if I run this particular code again, it's going to choose another thing from the list. So let's run it. You see, it says what? Share. So make sure you share. So let's say I want it to be able to shuffle a number, right? I want it to shuffle this like, subscribe, share. So all I just have to do is to come to random dot, I'll call in the what? The shuffle. I'll call in the random dot shuffle, and I'm going to put what? The num5. And if you call this particular one and you say print, watch, and you say print num5. So let's run that. You can see it starts with what? Like, share, subscribe, and comment. The main list was like, subscribe, share, and what? Comment. So you can see like, share, subscribe, and what? Comment. So if I run it one more, you can see subscribe is at the beginning. So these are the 3 modules I've talked about and how to use it and how to implement them. So that is how Moodle works and how it's been implemented. It's as simple as that. There's nothing difficult in Moodle, especially those that I'll be teaching data science and data analytics. You're going to see mostly we're going to be using Moodle. So let's quickly jump into the next guy, which is conditional statements. Okay, so we'll be right back. Let's quickly go into the conditional statement. First of all, what's the conditional statement? The conditional statement is a way for your program to make decisions. It checks if a condition is true or false, then runs different blocks of code depending on the result. Okay, so firstly, your conditional statement is simply when you give conditions to your computer that, hey, if this particular condition turns out to be true or false, this is what I want you to do when it's true. This is what I want you to do when it's false. Are you following? You're going to set conditions for your computer. Your computer is going to run through those conditions and check if the conditions are correct or if they align with those particular instructions that is being given. So just like you telling your computer that, hey, if this particular condition is true, this is the block of code I want you to run, else you should run something else. Are you following? So that is just a simple definition for it. So we're going to implement it right away. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to comment the what? The condition, the conditional statement. Then I'll come here, make sure it's a markdown, and we run that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I can use a variable, right? So we're going to create a variable known as user1, and the user1 is going to have an integer, then input. In this input, I'm going to ask the user, what is your age? So the user is going to input their age. Now I want to give a condition with this particular variable that the user is going to enter. Are you following? So the first one is the if. The if is what you use to start up your condition. You can't start up your condition just like that. You have to use the if to start up your condition. So I'm going to say if user1 is greater than 8, okay? This user1 is greater than 8. Let's also add equals to. This is what I want you to do. So this particular first line is the line of code needed. But mind you, you have to pay attention to this, your colon. Are you following? You can see if I remove this colon, watch what happens. It's going to go to the next line. It's not going to give an indentation necessary for your condition. One thing with Python is that you have to follow the syntax. So the main reason for me adding this colon is that I want it to take it to the proper indentation for this particular condition. Are you following? So you have to keep in mind of all these little things, okay? So that is why basically I'm telling you, always add this colon after the condition so that it takes it to the next line. If not, you're going to have an error if you don't add this colon. So if I click on enter now, you can see it gives some spacing. So it's from this spacing now I can now write a block of code needed for that word condition. Are you following? So now I can now say print what? print this? I can just print a message. Let's say subscribe, and share. Can you see that? So if this user is greater or equals to 8, so from 8 above, is going to print this message for this user, subscribe and what? Share. But what if it's less than? I can come here and say else. Else, print what? Print thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Can you see that? So if I come here now, I run this particular code, the first thing it's going to bring out is what? What is the user's age? So the user is now going to enter the information. Let's say the user is 5. Watch what happens. Boom. You can see, thank you for what? Watching. Why? Is because this condition was not what? True. But assuming this condition was true, it's going to print out the block of code underneath that condition. So one thing with conditional statement is that first of all, you have to set your condition. Then after setting your condition, then you can now put a block of code that is going to be there for it. Are you following? So pay attention. So now you can see it's bringing out this else. This else is only used for when you want to terminate. Do you understand? So this particular else is just the keyword that you use to exit out of your condition. Are you following? So else is what? Thank you for what? Watching. When this particular program will run is if this condition is true. Watch what happens now. Let's run it again. I run this code and it's going to say, let's say the person is 10. You can see subscribe and what? Share. It's as simple as that. Conditional statement is not difficult. It's very, very easy to use, but sometimes people get it so confused. But don't worry, in Blue Ghost Insight, we break things down. Whenever you see the conditional statement, keep in mind that you have to set a condition. After setting your condition, then in the next line, it's going to give you a proper indentation where you're going to write your block of code that you want it to run after that condition is true. Okay, so the only thing we use here is what? The if and the else. So let's go to the next one. So the next example I'm going to give, I'm going to have user2 as a variable, then I have integer and also an input function as well. Then in there, I'm going to say, what is your age? Again, right? I'm going to ask the user of their age. Now I want to give a condition. If user2, right, is greater or equals to 18, are you seeing the colon? Then this is what I want you to do. I want you to print this message. You are eligible to vote. Can you see that? It's beautiful, right? Now, let's say I can just say exit. I want to exit out of this particular condition. I can say else print I can say sorry, try next year, something like this. So run this. You can see ask the user of their age. So let's say the user is 15. It says sorry, what? Try next year. What if I come here and I run this now? Let's say the person is 19. You see, you are eligible to vote. So you can see how the condition works. Now, let's say those that are 16 want to allow them to be able to vote. What can we do? Do you understand? Let's say we want those people that are 16 above to be able to vote as well. That is where your elif comes in. Okay, so now let's add our elif to this particular code. I will come here and I will say elif if user 2 is greater or equals to 16. So we want to set a condition. We've set the condition already. So now we're going to now tell it to print this message for them. So we're going to give them a little bit restriction because they are not 18. Do you understand? So since they are 16, let's set a little bit restriction for them. So let's use all caps. You are eligible to vote for only primary sector. Okay, so watch this. If I run this now, the first thing is going to ask the user is an input function. So let's say the user is 16. You can see you are eligible to vote for only primary sector. Can you see this? So now some people will start getting this particular area confusing because we say greater or equals to 16. Are you following? Please pay attention. Greater or equals to 16. Some people will start getting this particular area confusing. Don't confuse yourself with this particular one. When we say if user 2 is greater or equals to 16, what it's going to do is that it's going to get from only those that are greater or equals to 16. This is the condition. If any user is greater than 16, this particular condition is going to trap it. Are you following? Because you already set a condition here. If this particular thing is greater or equals to 18, are you following? So from 16 to 17, that is where this thing is going to stop. But let's say from 18 is going to what? Come for this first condition. Let's run that. Let's see. So let's say the user is 19. Watch. You are eligible to vote. Can you see that? Why do we have this? Is because of this particular condition. The first condition given here is that wherever that particular condition is true, get your what? Your message. Are you following? So your computer is going to run from top to bottom. Oh, this particular line, this is what this particular information is aligning with. So the greater than 18 is going to bring 19, and so okay, this particular condition is greater than 19, is going to get that condition. That is how conditional statement works. Okay, so this one greater or equals to 16. You can see if only when the user is between 16 and 17. So let's say we add 17. You can see 17. You are only eligible to vote for only primary sector. Okay, so that is that about the conditional statement and how it's being used. We're going to use this conditional statement a lot. Do you understand? We're going to use it a lot. So you have to make sure that you understand this particular area. Okay, so like I always said, if you don't understand anything, just go to my description. You're going to see a Telegram link. Join and ask your question. People ask questions there. Join and ask your question. So I'm going to give you guys exercise. So in this exercise, I'm going to write a code. I want to make sure that you guys are following me because some of you are not actually writing the codes. Okay, so I want to engage you guys a little bit as well. I'm going to give you this code. Okay, so this is the message. This is the particular exercise. I have x is equals to 10 here. So I want you from here to write a conditional statement that check if x is greater than 10 and print a message for the user, I love Python. So that is the message I want to see. Then the else, that means the exiting condition to be x is less than what? 10. Okay, so that is your exercise.
Smart Sound.